Yeah. Okay, the Jentry Podcast. I know that you will be loving it. We here to break it down so that you start to understand your local government. Who are the leaders? Time to get active, do something about it. Dealing with jobs, the workforce, and affordable housing. Motivate and inspire. Elevate, take it higher. For the next generation. Knowledge is power for your community. Giving you the info that you really need. Time to make a change and a difference. Tune in, don't miss it. It's the Jentry. The Jentry Podcast. The Jentry Podcast. Making a change, switching it up.
Hello and welcome to the Jentry Podcast. Today we have another segment of our Jentry Future Leaders. And today we have a special guest. She is great at speaking about others and said she is coming into speaking about herself, but her background is so amazing that I'm very excited that she will. So we have Jacqueline Aguilar. She's the Government and Public Affairs Manager at Providence Strategic Consulting, and she has a lot to say today. So Jacqueline, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jonathan. Thank you for having me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited. This brings me so much joy talking to people that are building in their career, because I feel like it brings representation to those young people that are thinking about a career related to government. So without further ado, tell us about your childhood, your formative years, and what led you to getting into a career that's circled around government.
Yes. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Jacqueline Aguilar. I'm the Government and Public Affairs Manager here at Providence Strategic Consulting, based in the Central Valley. However, I haven't always lived in the Central Valley. I was born in San Jose, so in the Bay Area of California. And then, was raised by two immigrant parents who migrated here from Mexico in their teens. So they were looking for housing affordability, having 4 children, and both of them working minimum wage jobs. So they found this great town here in the Central Valley called Bakersfield, where everything was a little bit more affordable, especially the cost of living. So I've been here now for most of my life, and this is where I really call home.
That's incredible. I speak to government leaders all the time. Housing affordability, no matter what side of the aisle the leader may be, just finding housing that people can live in and grow families in is such a need. And it sounds like your family's found that in the Central Valley, and that literally was the stepping stone to a lot of your career. So talk to me about what were your first jobs like, and then how did you get into this career path?
Yes. So my first role, especially within government, was interning for a local board of supervisor. So here in Kern County, and it was just such a pivotal time, I think, not just in my career, but also just throughout my lifetime. It was in 2020, so right in the heart of the pandemic. And I, during that time, had just started doing a lot of volunteer work. And through that volunteer work, I connected with staff from that elected official. And from there, our relationship just blossomed and they welcomed me into their office. But that internship was short-lived because I eventually just moved on for a different role. So that really gave me the front row seats to see how policies are made, how our local resources are allocated, and how hard decisions can be to navigate, especially even at the local level. So it really showed me also the power of representation. That elected official is currently the only Latina on the board of supervisors. She's also the only Democrat. So it showed me what visibility meant. And from there, I went on to work on a city council campaign to help elect the first Filipino Mexican and also the youngest person to ever serve on the Bakersfield City Council. So I think I really identify myself with those two experiences because they were such a pivotal moment in my time frame of being able to experience my commitment to public service and also community empowerment as well.
That's so incredible. You've had such a breadth of experiences already. And when you talk about representation, you've been around some leaders that are truly breaking barriers, and sometimes more barriers than one all at the same time. So that's very impressive. Now, can you speak to your role now? How did that come about? And what made you think to now do the pivot to a consultant?
Yes. So my role now now is completely different than when I first started. So I now work for within a private company, a private firm. The beautiful thing about my position is that it's really unique. So I'm able to still interact with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of elected officials, public offices, and agencies to really try to bring in or to meet the goals of the clients here at the firm and the different projects that we're working on. So I always say that I have this beautiful balance of work of both of working with public agencies, but also the private entity side of things. So I'm able to be able to really live the best of both worlds.
And I resonate with that. My day job is consulting with local government agencies, so I totally understand it. I feel like I get the best of both worlds, especially when I get to work intimately with local government professionals. Now, what you do when I talk to young people all the time, and they have very much, that's a fixed view of what the government does and what is being done. But you've shown that there's different skill sets, things like public relations, that can be utilized by the local government entities. Now, could you kind of talk to what the day-to-day looks like for somebody that's potentially looking to do exactly what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to say that no day is the same for me, which is something that I actually love. I know some love routine and I like routine too, but when it comes to my profession and my career, it's so fun to every day really have a different day. Most mornings, I really start with checking emails and, of course, monitoring the news. For my career path in public relations and public affairs, I'm always having to be in the know of what's going on, whether it's here locally or federally, whatever it is. I need to know what's going on in order to see if anything directly that's happening might impact my line of work. So with that, that's just the basic foundation of the day. But from there, it's, planning community events, attending community events, attending government meetings, meeting with local stakeholders, strategizing. So really with all of it, my day to day really is just a different day every day. But I really love that as well because it also prepares you for different crisis management moments as well.
Okay, wow. So yeah, and I can appreciate that. Every day is different. What is maybe one thing that surprised you about your role?
One thing that really surprised me was how connected everything really is. I used to think that government work, was all about policies and bureaucracy, and it is, but there's also this other layer to it of it's all about relationships, people, and trust. So I think that's a side that people often don't see if you don't work in it on a daily basis. And that's the foundation of really getting anything meaningfully done. I always like to remind our youth, you always want to treat everybody with kindness and respect because those interactions that you have with them is how they're going to remember you from. And the world really is a small place. So the person that, you're going to high school with right now, or maybe going to college with, you might think that you might not run into them eventually in life, and you'll go your separate ways after graduation. But I can assure you there will be somebody that really pops up later on in life that you might have to work.
That is great advice to our young viewers. Treat everyone the way you like to be treated. It's just a good practice. And while I got you on the hot seat talking about your job, and this is purely because there is somebody young out there that is looking at you and it's like, that is what I want to do. So give me, and you can do it in either order, the thing you love most about your job, and then the hardest or most challenging part of your job.
Yeah, well, let's start with the positive. So what I love the most, and really it's a long list, but if I had to pick, it would be the advocacy side of things, especially as a young professional. I love being in rooms where most of the time I'm usually the youngest in the room, but being in those rooms with where major decisions are being made, and then you're surrounded by other individuals who have, just this wealth of knowledge. That's what's been a really great experience on the advocacy side because I'm taking in everything and learning it as well. And that's what's great is I'm able to take in all this knowledge and get to put that into my work, and advocate for different projects that are really shaping the future. Some of the projects that, have been a part of this are things that someone has never done before. It's never been done in the area and it's the first of. And that's what's really exciting, especially being here in the Central Valley. I think we're commonly overlooked and forgotten about nationally. So it's really great to be a part of projects that no one has really ever done before.
That is super cool. I think it harkens back to that breaking barriers, trailblazing, where you're embarking on things that haven't been done before. You're listening to the experts in the room, and becoming an expert by taking your own expertise, but then also uh, creating amalgamation of all the other people that have great ideas. So I think that's an amazing place to be, especially for somebody that is building a burgeoning career. So I know the viewers are going to hold me to it. So what is the hardest part of
Of course.
your currently?
Yeah. No job is perfect. Nothing's all like a fairy tale. But if I would have to pick a challenging piece from my career, it would be just the personal sacrifices that sometimes have to be made. I think, especially for my line of work, like I mentioned, you're always looking at the news, seeing what the latest trend is, what's happening all around. So, with that, sometimes that doesn't always have a 9 to 5 schedule. And I've had to learn that sometimes the hard way. So, I think it's learning how to balance the rest of your life while also being able to love what you do with your career. And that could even mean having to wake up a little extra early to fit in your workouts, or sacrificing the weekend of being with the family to attend an event for work. So it really is always an ongoing process. But for me personally, I think the impact makes that trade off worth it.
You actually got to my next question. I was going to ask the flexibility and how that work life balance is. But on that question, you said that there is that trade off, but it's the amount of impact that you're able to create in the community that in which you love that is worth it. Are there other unforeseen benefits that kind of come to balance that equation? So for some, I talked to people in local government, and they'll say, well, I get a pension, or I get to have, major holidays off, or I even heard a 4-day work week. That was one for somebody I interviewed. So are there any other benefits that you were surprised and didn't think of? And that could be mentorship, like you were kind of talking about.
Yeah, I would include that there are many other benefits, of course. I think networking has also really been really important overall in my career, and what's been a great benefit from this exposure and making a real impact. Even though it is demanding and it takes up intentional from space from your personal life, I think it's very worth it because, these projects that, you're working on will bring in a bigger impact to those around you. So those are the other three really big benefits I think of right now are the networking, the exposure, and making the real impact in your community.
That. And it's so important for some of the reasons that you stated earlier. You never know where somebody is going to be. And if you've created that genuine relationship, they're going to want to potentially help or potentially put you in the right conversation for what you need. So I think that is great. Now, everything I always say can't be sunshines and rainbows. There are things that are good about the job, is things that are good about working in local government. If you had unlimited budget, unlimited time, and there's one thing that you could either challenge or one change or tweak you could make in the Central Valley, what would that be?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. And an unlimited budget would be really great because there's a lot of gaps that exist here in the Central Valley. But I think a common pattern that I've seen over the last few years is a lack of civic engagement, especially among our youth. So whether it's getting involved at a local level, just staying informed and educated on what's happening around you, as well as being a part of voting every during election seasons as well. That's a gap that we're seeing here in the Central Valley is a trend of young voters really not getting out there to vote and lacking that civic engagement. So if I really had an unlimited budget, I would love to do a campaign to mobilize more civic engagement and more young voters to really get out there and vote. And this isn't just about, voting for a certain politician. It's also about looking and staying informed on, certain bond measures that are being included in the ballot and really understanding what all of that means. And in my unlimited budget, I would probably also have to include some funds for making sure that everything is culturally diverse and breaking down any language barriers, because I think that's something that still exists here in the Central Valley. Is there are a lot of language barriers that I think are some of the root issues that we're having with those disparities that still exist. And so just our community not staying informed, and mainly because they just don't understand what's going on. So having that really grassroots effort campaign or a coalition to bring in more votes, more voter registrations, as well as getting people engaged within their civic engagement, especially here locally.
I love that. And that is the reason we launched the Gentry Future Leaders segment, is to reach out to younger people. Well, I think I told you when we were getting started that I did a survey, and one of the biggest deterrents that I was hearing to being in public service and then just being civically engaged is a lack of representation. But people like yourself are going to naturally encourage people to see people like themselves that are doing great things, starting and having incredible careers. So I think while we don't have unlimited budget, I think you as a
Right.
human are encouraging the change you want to make just by being yourself. So
Yeah.
I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now I have to ask, is there any advice you would give to your younger self, or to anybody that's like maybe 18 or even younger that's thinking about a career surrounded or related to public service? What advice would you give?
My advice would be to get involved early, whether it's interning, volunteering, joining your student government, applying for fellowships. I think those early experiences really help you build confidence, skills, and really make the connections that you will need to make in order for more doors to open up and for there to be more opportunities. Also, I think, just getting out of your comfort zone, I think is really key. And don't be afraid to really be the youngest person in the room. I always say, you never know what you really want to do until you start doing it. If you would have asked me, 10 years ago that I would be working for a public affairs and public relations firm, I would say I don't even know what that means. So I think keep the options open, but definitely get involved and get the experience to really find your passion and know what you want to do.
Wow, I think that is very great advice, in the sense that you kind of just have to get the reps with any. I honestly think with anything, you just kind of have to get the reps, and it is like time well spent, even if you figure out that this isn't for me. But getting that experience, you're creating a network that you mentioned earlier. You're understanding what makes you tick and what gets you excited about work. And so I think that was really good advice. The final question for me, and this is just a lofty one. Well, I was interviewing a city manager, and he spoke of this book called Halftime, and a lot of the thing. It says for the first part of your life, you're working on achieving and getting to that next level, and you hit a halftime, and the back half of it is about legacy and what you can kind of leave for the next generation. Let's say 25, 30 years from now, what is Jacqueline's legacy going to be? Or what do you want people to say about you and the work that you've done, if that's easier?
That is, I think I always want to be remembered by having a really strong work ethic overall. But I think for me, one of the biggest impacts that I've always wanted to leave is my parents are my biggest why. They came here with absolutely nothing, and they were able to give my siblings and I absolutely everything that they didn't have and more. My dad grew up homeless. He grew up with no parents. So being able to see how far they came and everything that they were able to give us with the very little that they had, I think inspired me to go back out to my community and help people just like them that had little resources. But if only they had just a few more resources, then their kids or they could have even gone a lot further in life. So I think for me, it's always going back to helping my community and connecting them with the resources that they need to thrive whether it's career wise or personally. I think to me, that's always been my passion is helping others who didn't have the opportunities like my parents.
I love that. When you learn somebody's why, you really truly understand what is was pushing them, and I think that's beautiful. What I heard from that is you want to live a legacy that becomes the support that you wish your parents could have had to better support them. So I think that is beautiful. That yeah, a lot of everything that I'm doing is to continue the legacy of my father who passed away when I was younger. So I definitely resonate and connect with that. So Jacqueline, I appreciate you. And I know our viewers will appreciate you, your goals to get young people engaged. You're living it, I think the change. And I'm glad that you're not afraid to speak up in those rooms because your perspective is just different than somebody that's 60 years old for a myriad of reasons. And the way you see it, even if they have more experience or even knowledge on a topic, the way you see it can spark an idea that can change and help so many people. So I wanted to say thank you. I want to give you the opportunity if you have any last words for the viewers before we wrap up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jonathan, for having me here today. This was really great and insightful and exciting. And as always, like I mentioned earlier, thank you for not forgetting about the Central Valley. We're commonly overlooked. And for our young viewers, my biggest piece of advice that I want to repeat again is get involved early and really be kind to everybody because you never know who you're going to be working with again in the future. So take up those internship opportunities, apply to those fellowships, and really gain the experience that you need that will help you in the long run.
Love it. And I think you all should take that advice. Those are definitely some wise words. So for everybody here at Gentry, we'd like to say thank you, Jacqueline. And for everybody viewing, Jacqueline Aguilar is the Government and Public Affairs Manager at Providence Strategic Consulting. And she is a wealth of knowledge. So thank you for viewing,
Yeah.
and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.